Several weeks ago, I did a seminar over here in Brea on the 6 steps to successful potty training. I was going to call it the scoop on poop. I thought about calling it the number 1 on number 2, but I decided on the self-explanatory title of 6 steps to successful potty training. There you have it. And I got a lot of feedback that people wanted to attend, but for whatever reason, they were unable to attend the live version. So they requested that I do a video on it. So, ta-da, here's the video on it for those of you that couldn't attend or those that would like to share this to their friends and family. Please, 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 please share it. A little bit of information is a powerful thing. Share this with your friends, share this with your family. Rescue groups, please share it to your adoptive people, your fosters, whoever this can benefit. Please, please, I want them to get this information. Now, little warning, we did have some technical difficulties. It's about 3/4 of the way through, the camera ran out of memory. Ironically enough, it ran out of memory before I did. I know, right? So it's not the 6 steps in this video, it's actually more like 4.5. But it gets you the idea and it gets you going. So please enjoy the 4.5 steps to successfully potty training your dog. I started Dogs Etc. way back in 1997, a million years ago. He was like 2 months old. And I started Dogs Etc. to enrich dogs' lives. I mean, that's my simple mission statement. And I think enriching dogs' lives is about the education. And over the almost 30 years I've been doing this now, it's embarrassing how long I've been doing this, there's a few fundamental things that I've found that it all keeps coming back to. And I call those the doggy essentials. And that's what this education series is about. It's about the dog essentials, things that every dog should know. And if they don't know these fundamental things, it can turn into chronic problems later on for the dog and for you. So the first one we're going to start with tonight is potty training, because come on. Rule number 1 at our house is there's no peeing and pooping on the floor. I don't care who you are, you know. And cleaning up messes gets real old real fast. So let's just put the kibosh on it and teach them where they're supposed to go. And these techniques work for every species: dogs, cats, pigs, birds, humans, children, babies. It's all the same. And there's 6 steps. Now the first step is if your dog is healthy. Making sure your dog is healthy. If your dog is not healthy, hi, perfect timing, we're just getting started. If your dog is not healthy, they can't learn. Of course, if they're not feeling good or if they have some chronic illness, but then again, if they have something as simple as parasites. Giardia, hello, most puppies come with Giardia, which is not a severe thing, but it can really hinder their ability to hold their bladder and their bowel. Some puppies especially get urinary tract infections. So of course, if they have a urinary tract infection, they're not going to be able to hold it. And then, particularly with older dogs, there might be some chronic conditions like diabetes, Cushing's disease, those types of things, which are also going to inhibit their ability to control their bladder and their bowel. So first step is always check with your vet. Get your dog, your puppy, a good checkup. Make sure that we're not dealing with something like that. And once they're healthy, we progress to step number 2, and that is confine and supervise. Confine and supervise your dog. And this is one most people skip right over, but it's super important. You can't just let them have free roam of the house and assume that they're going to know where to go. Okay? What is that? Assume nothing, because you make an ass out of you and me, right? Assume nothing. So keep them confined or supervised. If you can't be watching your dog, like all you're doing is watching your dog, what are they doing? Where are they going? If you take your eyes off of them for 2 seconds to answer the phone or send an email or something, guess what? All it takes is 2 seconds for them to dive behind the couch or slip into the other room, do a little diddle, and then come back, and you don't even realize that they've been gone. Okay, so watching them 100%. If you can't be watching them, like you can, so confining them, crate training them, putting them in a crate. I love crates. I love, love, love crates. They are a wonderful tool to keep your dog out of trouble, whether it's keeping them from peeing on the floor or to keep them from chewing everything, you know, for their own safety. But there are positive ways to do the crates and negative ways. We want to make sure that the crate is a fun place for them to go. So you always want to give them something to do while they're in their crate, which is that whole wall back there. Keep them busy doing something. And crate training, frankly, it's a good thing for the rest of your dog's life. I mean, if they have to go to the vet or they have to go to the groomer, if it's a grooming dog, they're going to be in a crate. So let's teach them to like it. And dogs just naturally like the confinement of being in a crate. Cats like the confinement of being in a crate. They're den animals. But the difference between a den and a crate is dens don't have doors on. So we have to make sure that we're not shutting them in there all the time. And that's a whole nother topic. I could spend an hour talking about crate training. But it's not a cruel thing. It's not a mean thing. It's actually for their own safety. And it's funny, at our house, we have a dog right now that a month ago we found out has heartworm. Hello. So the treatment for heartworm is they have to be confined, because once they start killing the parasites, they don't get to launch into the heart, of course, so they have to be confined and restricted movement. So anyway, long story short, we got this big crate, the doors open all the time, and everybody's always in it. We don't tell anybody to go in it, but we have to kick out the dog, the cat, to put the other dog in there that needs to be confined. The cat thinks it's his little fort. He's in there constantly. So the crate isn't a bad thing. And it's a way to keep your dog safe and to keep them from going off and having accidents. And, you know, we think about the potty training. Of course, we have to reward them to go in the right place. But half of the equation is actually teaching them to hold it. Hold it and go to the right place. Because frankly, it's so easy for them just to go on your rug. I mean, why should they hold it? I'll just go over there. It's so easy. So by confining them in a crate, or if you, for whatever reason, you can't do the crate, you can always do an exercise pen, or put a baby gate on a bathroom or a laundry room, someplace to keep them safe. Umbilical cording, that's where you take the leash and you tether it to your belt buckle. So they're always with you, and they're not going to be sneaking off. You can tether them to the chair where you are, if you're watching TV or if you're working on the computer. That way they can't be sneaking off. But of course, tethering you can only do when you're there to watch and supervise them. If you can't be supervising your dog, they go in the crate, or they go in an X pen, or they go in a bathroom. Okay, but they cannot have free roam until they deserve it. Because dogs have what's called a surface preference, where they develop a preference that they like to pee and poop on. You'll see some dogs that will only pee on the grass. They may poop on the sidewalk, but they'll only pee on the grass, or they may only poop on the grass. Okay, it's the habit that they get into. So we want the habit to be getting used to going on the grass or the cement and not on your rug. Okay, so part of the confinement and supervising is also, you know, think about where you do want them to go. Do you want them to go outside? Do you live in an apartment and they have to go on pee pads or have a potty station? Think about what your end game is. Where do you want them to eventually go on their own? And that's what we want to teach, okay? But we want that to be the habit, not just going over and doing it on the rug, okay? So confine and supervise. And don't give them freedom till they earn it. How do you know if they've earned it or not? When they're not having accidents. You give them a little bit more freedom, then a little bit more, a little bit more, a little bit more. If they have accidents, then you pull back a little bit. Okay, they weren't ready for that next step. Okay, so confine or supervise. Don't give them too much freedom too soon. Step number 3 is reward the bejeebies out of them. Reward, reward, reward. We want to pay them $1 million for peeing and pooping outside, okay? To really make it worth their while. Yes, praise is good, but you know, if you came in here and you sat down and I was like, oh, good job, thank you very much. Would you rather have me praise you or give you a new car? Like Oprah, you get a new car, and you get a new car, and you get a new car. And that's what we want to do with your dog. We want to give them a car for going potty outside. So guess what? They're like, I'm going outside, because timing is really, really crucial when it comes to the rewards. It's all about that communicating with your dog, letting them know this is what I want you to do. And so timing is crucial. If you wait more than 2-3 seconds to reward your dog, you're rewarding something else. So you are rewarding them for doing whatever it is they're doing when you plop this in their mouth, okay? So that's why you take this with you. You go outside with them, stand next to them as they're going. Good dog, you can praise them. Don't get too excited, because if you get too excited, then it's all over, and then they want to play, right? So praise them. The second that they finish, you plop that $1 million in their mouth. If you're waiting on the patio, because we don't want to go all the way out there, and they're out there and you're like, good dog, thank you very much. And then they come running to you, and then you give them the treat. They just got it for coming to you, which helps with the recalls, but doesn't help with the potty issue, okay? A lot of people tell me that, you know, they praise the dog and then they go inside and they get the treat. Well, the dog's getting the reward for going inside, not necessarily potty. So it's about the timing. And especially if you have a young, active puppy, you have to reward within half a second. Because honestly, if they pee and then they like wag their tail and sit down or whatever, and then you give it to them, they just got it for wagging their tail and sitting down. So it has to be immediately after. And you can, you know, zhuzh it up and nuance it a little bit. You can add in a command. You can teach them to go on cue. You can teach them a pee zone to go in one specific spot. But the more consistent you are, the more consistent your dog will be. And we want this to be his lucky spot. So he wants to go here, no place else. A lot of dogs, and I've had many of my own dogs, that they won't even pee and poop out on a walk. They wait to come home and do it. And that means that's their lucky spot, you know, which is not a bad thing, to be sure, okay? I mean, think about what your habits are. You know, do you sit at the same place at the table every time? Do you sit in the same chair every time? When you go someplace, like if you have a regular Starbucks, do you always sit in the same place at the Starbucks? It's so funny how we're all such creatures of habit, and that's what we want your dog to be, okay? So step number 3 is reward the bejeebies out of your dog. Reward, 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 reward. Step number 4 is reprimand in the act only. The act only. So if you didn't see your dog do it, and you're walking along and you step in it, or you see it, and you didn't see your dog do it, nothing you can do about it, except learn from your mistake, okay? Because we learn more from our mistakes than our successes, right? Mistakes are really a Buddhist gift. It's an opportunity for enlightenment. And either you take that opportunity or you don't. That's your choice. So what do you learn from a mistake? Is your dog should have been confined at that time. Your dog should have been supervised, okay? If your dog has an accident and you didn't catch him, go back and see step number 2. You need to keep a closer eye on them. They're not ready for that amount of freedom. Or, you know, if they are having an accident a particular time of day. So if they're having accidents, think about the schedule. Is it in the evenings? Is it while you're fixing dinner? Is it in the mornings? What's going on? And do the preemptive strike and confine them or umbilical cord them. Somehow keep them from having access to going elsewhere, okay? So learn from those mistakes. Now, if you do catch your dog in the act, absolutely reprimand them. verbally, get after them. Clap your hands, stomp your feet, do that, I call it the mom tone of voice, you know, hey, what do you think you're doing? Not the no, right? Little dogs have their own little layer of complexity, because what do we do with little dogs when they do something we don't like? We just swoop in and we pick them up, right? We move them. So little dogs, and smart little dogs, can catch on that if I pee, that's a good way to get attention. They pick me up, they give me a little cuddle, we go outside, we spend some time, okay? So don't pick up your little dog. Shoo them outside so they learn to go outside on their own, okay? Hopefully they've got a little bit left to go, and then you can reward them for going outside, okay? But if you did not catch them in the act, you can't go over to them. They're laying, sleeping peacefully or chewing a bone. You go over, you grab them, you drag them back over there, you shove their face in it and yell at them. What do they learn? Oh, she goes crazy when I'm chewing my bone. She goes nuts when I'm laying on my bed taking a nap. So they're gonna not go to that bed anymore. They're not gonna chew that bone anymore, okay? They still have to pee and poop. They can't stop peeing and poop. They just have to learn where to go.
So obviously we had some technical difficulties, meaning that the camera ran out of memory. The camera ran out of memory before I ran out of memory. Leave a comment. Let me know what you think. Until next time.